I will never forget the date it started. It was on Wednesday, April 7th. My brother came to my room in the morning. I was still sleeping, and he pushed the door, and I woke up, and he said, "You are still sleeping. You don't know what happened." I asked him what happened. A million things went through my mind. I thought maybe my mom was sick. Maybe my dad died. Something happened. Talk quick. He told me the president of the country was killed that night when we were sleeping. I remember jumping out of the bed, and I told him, they are going to kill us.
And Rwanda in 93, 94 was crisis. All of a sudden you have two different groups of people who live in the same country, but it's all about separation. You know, a foreign power came in and they started to seemingly favor one group over the other, looked a little bit more European in their facial structure, and that created conflict. One group was more farmers, another group was moving up into different class. And all of a sudden, this sparked rage and anger, and it got completely out of control. It was promoted by the media, by the way. The media promoted it, and all of a sudden, neighbors, even members of the same family, were killing members of their own family based upon these little differences, which really don't even matter in any way, shape, or form. But why hear about this? Well, it'd be nice to hear about it for someone who experienced it, someone who was also targeted to be murdered themselves, and not only survived that level of crisis, which is much greater than anything we've talked about this morning. Personally, having someone try to kill you or a group of people trying to kill you in your own home, and making it through that to the other side and finding the beauty on the other side, and then seeing a culture change. If you go to Rwanda today, it's a very different world. Again, there's no discussion about these separations. Then all these councils. Can you imagine if you literally, a few years after someone killed your mother or your brother, your sister, and they were your neighbor, now you're sitting across the table from them trying to crave forgiveness? The whole country did this. I mean, this is a role model of what's possible. And transformed. It doesn't mean it doesn't have challenges and so forth. There's days there where the president of the country set it up so everybody goes and picks up trash and takes pride in the country. It's just like it's a unique place. And at some point we might want to do a trip there. My Gorillas and Mist type of experience was one of my favorite experiences in life. Who might be interested in a trip like that? It's an adventure trip, right? So maybe we'll do that, and we'll also get a chance to meet the president, see the culture. But I know it's long, so I want you to keep your energy strong, because this last person is not last because they're last. They're last to put the cherry on top to bring you back to your own understanding of humanity. That in spite of all these things we've talked about and these crazy technologies and injustices, there's something deeper than that in the human spirit that is superior to anything anyone can do to you. There's something greater inside all of us that's superior to anything we could ever go through. And the woman we're going to introduce you to has been through that directly.
One of the big lessons was truly to understand the importance of love and actually to learn what love was. Another big lesson was the power of forgiveness, also to understand forgiveness. I used to think when you forgive somebody have maybe said something bad about you, somebody, I remember when the genocide started, I was a student in college, and I thought if you took my book away, I would think about forgiving you. But when I went through this terrible experience, it was truly then I realized that this is what forgiveness is, because I felt anger. I felt what anger felt like. I remember burning with my skin. I remember sweating out of anger. My blood was running fast out of anger. My heart was beating faster out of anger. And I remember begging God, if only I can be innocent again. If only I can remember how to smile again. Because that anger, I felt like my face was twisted. I felt like I was not myself again. I would never smile again. But I remember the moment I felt truly forgiveness, which I will share a little bit with you. It was that time I said, this must be what they call forgiveness. But truly what it felt like peace. It felt like true freedom. And about love, I remember, many times I have asked myself, what went wrong in this world that what happened to my country can happen? And I realized that we failed to love one another. And I remember asking God in my heart, but what happened to me, because I think I have loved people. And I realized also that we can't just be alone. We are a family. We have to love one another, but we also have to pray for other people because we are a family. What goes wrong in another country, in another person's life, can affect all of us. Even if we have loved, but when our neighbors were hateful, it have affected us. So the genocide happened in 1994. I was a student in college, and I happened to be home for Easter holiday. I will never forget the date it started. It was on Wednesday, April 7th. My brother came to my room in the morning. I was still sleeping, and he pushed the door, and I woke up, and he said, "You are still sleeping. You don't know what happened." I asked him what happened. A million things went through my mind. I thought maybe my mom was sick, maybe my dad died, something happened. Talk quick. He told me the president of the country was killed that night when we were sleeping. I remember jumping out of the bed, and I told him, "They are going to kill us." And he said, "Why? They're going to kill us." I said, "Don't you see?" So in some ways, like we are talking today, when terrible things really are about to happen or happened, most of the time we're prepared. And many times we refuse to learn or to hear or to take the hint. So in our country, we're prepared in some ways. One of the things that prepared us was actually a radio that was created by the leaders of the country to spread hatred among people. We had two main tribes. As Tony said, I belong to the tribe that was being killed, Tutsi. We were two tribes, Hutu and Tutsi. And the people who were on power, they have decided they are going to kill the other tribe so that they can, keep the power. Again, I live in this country now for 22 years now. Around the election, I always feel like, oh, what is going on, So you can feel it was more like a political parties. So they were trying to keep their power for some reasons. And they started to spread hatred among people. So the radio, the journalists, they literally used to call people, call us like we're snakes, we're this. And they would act like they were drunk. So they would say that, "Give me scotch, give me whiskey," the journalists. And they would say, "One day we are going to kill them." And I always wondered, how can they do that? I mean, as we are speaking again this afternoon, how can they do that? No one can just go to kill another human being, but actually we knew that it can happen. Another thing that prepared us that was much better, if you have heard a place called Lourdes in France, or Fatima, thank you, Fatima in Portugal, the Blessed Virgin Mary, the Mother of Jesus, appeared in a place called Kibeho 12 years before the genocide to 3 kids so far actually approved by the Catholic Church, by the Vatican. 3 kids in high school who were 14 years old, 16 years old, 17, and they were now approved. Our Lady Mary told them a terrible thing was going to happen to our country if we did not come back to God, if we did not come back to love one another. That is simple as love. And many people, even including some priests, said, "Oh, that is so simple. It can't be from heaven." She cried and begged them, "If you don't believe what I'm saying, at least believe what is in the Bible." She showed the children, people killing each other with machetes. She showed them a river of blood. And the children, in front of about 50,000 people, I used to be there. My parents used to be there. And she showed them these people, and they would scream. But they thought it can't happen. But it was exactly happening. She showed us many lessons, of course, really simple lessons. Forgive one another. Love one another. Take your faith seriously. So we didn't listen, and the genocide have just started. But when my brother told me, I thought, that's it. That's what she was speaking about. So I remember I came outside of my room. I went to see my parents outside. And we found out that on radio, that the leaders who were in power have already given the announcement for everybody to stay home, for no one to move. They blocked the borders. And the only job that was being done was actually killing people of my tribe. I remember about 2 hours later, BBC radio reported 18 families that were killed. They would report things like 8 children and mom and dad, 10 children, 5 children, mom and dad, and grandma and grandpa. I remember my father, who was a teacher, a director actually, of Catholic school at that time. I remember he was listening to this and he stopped and he said, wait, this never happened before, where they kill a whole family. Before they were killing somebody they were worried about in politics, who was against them, but not a family. But that's why they call it a genocide. It was actually the attempt to eliminate the whole group of people. They have gone to homes by homes, they have taken the names, and they knew what they were doing. They were going to kill all of us. So we sat there, and we started to see people coming home, asking my parents what to do. I'm so grateful that I have had my parents. Now I can say that, before when you have them, you take them for granted. You think that I never disrespected my parents, but I never thought they would ever leave. And they were good people. So people started to come home asking what to do. And about the second day, we had about 10,000 people. And I remember the last of the image I remember of my parents, especially my father, he had the rosary in his hand. And he spoke to everyone who was coming to him to ask him what to do. And he was speaking to people from different religions, but he just spoke as we come from a Catholic family, and he was Catholic, but they trusted what he was saying, talking to them. He told them, with a rosary in his hand, I will never forget that moment. He said, if it is a matter of a small group that want to kill us, do not be scared. Fear is our worst enemy. But he said, however, if it is the government that planned this, I cannot lie to you, they will kill us. And then I remember thinking, Dad, you just don't tell people they're going to die. I was one girl among 3 boys. I was almost a little bit more protective, towards my father. And I thought people were just going to be scared and scream. And he told them, however, even if it was a government that planned this, they have the police, they have the military, and they're going to kill us. Let's not be scared again. Even then, let's take this as a chance God is giving us to repent our sins so we can go to heaven. How many people who know they're going to die? This is our chance. I'm like, what? You can be happy even when you're dying? And after that, actually, people got quiet. Everyone was hugging each other, reconciling with one another, reconciling to God. Among the whole 10,000 people, I was there also praying and just asking God, if anything I could have done, please forgive me if this is my time to die. After a few minutes, everyone started to talk again. My father came to me. He gave me the rosary he had and asked me to go to hide to a neighbor who was from the other tribe. I remember before I left, my brother came to my dad and he said, Dad, you're sending her to somebody from the other tribe. If things go bad, they will kill her. And my father said, no, I know that man. Even if things go bad, he will not be able to kill. Even if he was from the other tribe. I remember one big lesson. My father was always teaching, talking to people, teaching. And he was a teacher. We didn't have things like this where you can be a speaker and give lessons, but he was always, giving lessons. And I remember he said, I know this man, even if things go bad, he will not be able to kill. But I remember he used to tell us, do not judge people and put them in boxes. Because somebody from that tribe have done you wrong. Because somebody from that country have done you wrong. And he said, if you do, you will miss out many angels in your life. Because you don't know who God will send you when you need it the most. So open your heart. If somebody does wrong to you, take your space. But don't put them in boxes. And I used to think, my dad is teaching again. But truly when he sent me to somebody who was supposed to be our enemy, that's when I thought, he really meant it. And that moment of truly telling the people not fear, to hold on to God, knowing even if we die, it was maybe my first time I saw somebody who's dying who still have belief. That did something to my faith. People will see from the experience you live. They learn so much from that. He have always taught us about faith, but when he was facing death, he wasn't a doctor who is saying, too bad you are sick. He was one of the people who are going to die. And yet he was, let's be happy. We're going to heaven. After all that, my father came to me. He gave me the rosary. He asked me to go to hide to this man, and I left. I remember when I got this man, he was a Protestant pastor. He showed me a tiny bathroom, 3 by 4 feet. I remember when I saw that, I remember thinking, this is too small. What am I going to do? 3 by 4 feet. I mean, when I think about this today, 3 days before that, I had a scholarship in college. 3 days before that, I was paid to go to school. 3 days before that, I had my own room in my parents' house. My brothers who protected me. And now I have to sit in this 3 by 4 feet. That taught me something. You know, things can change. And it's true, but we still have today. Let's enjoy it because we still don't know what is tomorrow. And we don't know truly exactly what can happen, but love the moment by moment. As he was, he told me to stay there, thinking I'm alone in this tiny place. He came back with 5 more women. Later, he came back with 2 more women. So we became 8 people in 3 by 4 feet. He told us not to speak to one another, not to make any noise, not even to flush the water in the bathroom until somebody else is flushing the water in the next bathroom. He told us that he would tell his children that he lost the key of the bathroom, which we realized he was trying to really protect us, that he was even going to tell his own children. He said, you never know who you can tell one word, can share with their friend, it can be over. So we sat there. We didn't know each other, but you know what? In times like that, you don't need the names. All you need to know is you are a human being just like that person. We cry for the same reasons. We laugh for the same reasons. So we sat there, we felt like we were one person. I remember the first day went by. The second day, he couldn't even give us food. But the third day, he was able to bring us food. And the food he can afford to give us was the leftovers of his children. They throw in the garbage, and he would pick one plate and bring to us, and we would share. And that was, the hunger was not the problem. The biggest problem was just to know that you can be killed any moment. But hunger was very painful, but it wasn't a problem. At the end of the week, I remember I've started to develop so many emotions. Bad emotions, anger that I felt I can die. Every bad emotion has levels. So you feel bad a little bit, you can feel really bad more to levels that it just can kill you. I remember feeling so much anger. I would be sweating out of anger. And then I remember thinking, nobody's touching me. But look how my body is acting, just out of my thoughts. And it started to scare me. And the moment I would shift my thoughts to, oh God, please help us, somewhere was peace. So what is this that these poisonous thoughts that were there in my mind? So I got scared of that. I had anger, which was bad, and then I had fear. I will move from anger to fear. And fear hurts differently than anger. I will feel like my stomach shaking, and I will think about so many things can happen. They're going to catch me, or they're going to rape me, they're going to maybe keep me in their homes, maybe going to cut me in pieces. And with that, it was another different of agony, pain. And then I would move from that to impatience. All these emotions were killing me alive. And I remember thinking, I'm dying anyway. I need to talk. I need to find out what is going on, so at least I can be informed and see what is coming and get ready. So when he came to give us food at night, I grabbed his food and I dared to talk, and I asked him, tell us, please tell us what's going on, or put the radio outside so at least we can hear what is going on in the country. He was kind. He put 3 different radios, different channels. I couldn't believe what was going on in the country. The leaders of the countries who used to hide in private radios, they were out on national radio, national TV, calling everyone to kill every one of my tribe. I remember one government minister. He had a daughter, actually, who was my friend in high school, who used to bring us chocolate in school. He was just like a father. He was on radio now saying, do not forget children. A child of a snake, a child of a cockroach is a cockroach. We had to cleanse the country, and we are going to live in a paradise. And for some reasons, I knew that that was wrong. But how come he doesn't see it? And sometimes we think, well, maybe people are not so smart. This one of the smartest men in the whole country. He was a man who has a PhD he got in France. So they used to look up to him. And now he was the one who is calling people. But that was bad. But what it was doing to me, it started to give me a chance to listen to the voice within, not to listen to the people I thought they have answers. They must have made a mistake. They don't know that I'm not an enemy. They don't know that I haven't done anything wrong, that I deserve to be here. But when you hear when he was saying, kill children, that's when I said, it's pure evil. I need to think about what is going on, what can I do? Few days after, they gave order to start going in every home to see if anyone was hiding, home by home. You think it was bad to be there for a week without sleeping, really sitting on top of each other, but to know that somebody is going to come to hunt for you, it was the worst pain I've known. A day came, and by the second week, I remember I was stretching, and I saw outside of the tiny window of the bathroom something I thought was about, maybe 1,000 people. But later I found out there were actually 300 to 400. People came inside the house, and remember they were dressed in banana leaves. They had all kind of arms, machetes, guns, grenades, long spears, all around them. They were just like people scaring you. Some of them had gold horns over their head to try to look like the devil, that to scare you more. And nobody was fighting them. So they came inside and they started to search everywhere. This was maybe the most painful moment of my life, but also the most rewarding moment of my life. The moment I met God, truly, I can say. So in that moment, I knew I was going to die. There's nothing in me that could ever say to me, maybe they might not find me. It's a 4-bedroom. 300-400 people were searching for it. And they're looking for you, they know you. These are neighbors. And they started to search everywhere. I started to even ask myself, how am I going to die? Is my soul going to fly out of my body? Are they going to do this? So many emotions came and so many things, how I might die. It was painful. To wait for them, it was like 1,000 needles was going through my body. Like I was in fire, but I was not dying fully. And then in that moment, I started to feel as if I had 2 voices over my shoulders. When they say that when people are dying, that is when your soul is, is being fought over by the God or the devil is trying to take you away. So in that moment, I felt like there was 2 voices, nothing too strange, but voices that we face when we're facing a challenge. So one voice was telling me, open the door, end the torture. It's too painful. And that sounds like me being reasonable. Why wait? Why not just end this? And actually I wanted to do that. However, there was always another nice voice, contradictory to the other one, much more kinder, even if it hurts. And I remember the nicer voice in me said, do not open the door. Ask God to help you. Remember who God is? God is almighty. Do you know what almighty means? It means he can do anything. Do you know what anything means? It means even if they find you, they might not be able to kill you. Even if they open the door, if God wants, they might not be able to see you. Even if they shoot you, the bullet might not go through you. If God wants. Remember Daniel in the den of lions? If that was possible, so it's still possible. And all that was really almost like fighting over either keep hope or give up hope. If I thought about listening to this body voice, I felt frozen. I felt like no life was in my body. But when I listened to the nicer voice, I literally could breathe. So I remember in that second, I had to choose what voice to listen to. The bad one that sounds like me being reasonable, or the one that says, no, there is still hope. Do not give up. Do not open the door. And I remember turning to the nicer voice. With every cell of my body, I asked God, if it is anyone who created me. Because in that moment, I wasn't even sure if there was God. There are children dying. Innocent people are dying. Is there God? But I remember asking, if it's anyone who created me, if it's anyone who put all this together, this earth I'm standing on, the moon, the stars, the sun, I am begging you, just give me a sign that you exist. at least even if I die, I can die with hope that it doesn't end here. Because right now, I'm not even sure. You just live and then die. In that moment, I realized the God I'm talking to is not just going to answer me. So I asked him, if you can hear me, just give me a sign. You don't need to talk. So I asked him, if you can hear me, don't let the killers find the door of the bathroom. Again, this is 4-bedroom house with 300-400 people. Don't let them open the door. Just today. I know good people die, and I will die too. Everyone have died. But just today, don't let them open the door of the bathroom. If they don't, I will know you are there, and I promise you, I will seek you all my life. I will find out who you are, I will try your way, and I will see if it works. But at least I will try you. I'm not going to listen to the bad one. And after that, I fainted. I think the good God knew I couldn't handle that conversation, so I fainted literally. I didn't hear anything until about 5 hours later. The man who was hiding us, he came and opened the door. I jumped. I thought it was the killers who have found us. And then he told us what happened. He told us they came in, there were 300 to 400 people. More than 200, actually, big number, made a circle around the house so that no one jumps out of the window, because that's what they did every day. The government have hired that kind of group in every village, just to go home by home. They pay them, give them drinks, smokes, so they can look. So he told us they made a big circle around the house so that no one jumps out of the window. And then another number went inside the house, under the beds. They went in the closets. They went in the ceiling of the house with flashlights to make sure no one was there. They went on the roof of the house to see no one was laying there. They even opened suitcases to make sure no babies were hiding. At last, he told us, they came right to the door of the bathroom. Before they opened, one of the killers touched the handle. He looked at him and he said, "You know what? We trust you. You are one of us. You cannot hide these bad people." He turned around and he left. When he told us that, what really shocked me was not that we made it. Again, I'm reasonable. I'm thinking, we would die. People who lived in 1700, everybody died. So we are going to die too. But what really shocked me in that moment was, oh my God, God is real. God is here. He heard me in the bathroom, not even in the church. Then I started to think about everything I've read in the Bible. I heard from our, priest and saying that God can actually hear from inside. I'm like, so it's true. He can hear everything? Now I was a little bit scared. Because if he can hear everything, that means we don't have much privacy. They're looking at everything. Well, what did that did to me? I started to speak to God as I'm talking to you now. I told him about my anger. I'm like, okay, God, so I know you are there. You can see everything. You must be really good to watch everything happening and not strike, But this is what is happening. I believe you. Now I need to know why this is happening. It was that time I truly wanted to know what have gone wrong. I asked the mom who was hiding us to give me the Bible so I can read, I can understand the Word of God. I can understand what went wrong. And I remember I wanted to understand 3 things. A little simple, just the big picture of our life. Who are we? Where do we come from? Why are we here? What are we supposed to do? How long do we stay here? And where do we go? Of course, I can't know myself to define that, but I wanted to see it now from the perspective of God. I felt like, okay, we were created from God. I started to read. Then I asked him, since I know now that he's there, but why did you create me? Why did you put me in this mess? I felt like he was speaking back, because I love you. How many of us are parents? Look what I went through and I still have children. I created you to share with you paradise, with life. And if you just accept to be led by my guidance, I promise you, even life here will be okay. But what is more beautiful is paradise. It is what is in the Bible. Then I remember, so how long do we stay here? 100 years maybe? How many people who get to that? So what about after that? Where do we go? Again, remember, I'm taking it completely now from the perspective of the God I accept as a Catholic. And I truly respect every religion, how we believe. We just have to be honest with what we believe. So I took it. I'm like, so where do we go from that? I went in the Bible. Well, there's a choice of heaven and there's a choice of hell. It's up to you. What do you choose to work for? I didn't want to look at hell because it was bad and I felt like I was in hell already. But I wanted to read about heaven. You know, it's hard to work for a price if you don't know what the price is about. So I wanted to read about heaven to actually see what is it. Is it worth working for? So I look at heaven, I really encourage you, by the way, to work for heaven. The roads are diamond and gold, no more pain. Okay, diamonds and gold, the roads. Okay, this is good. I believe. I told God I believe until you disappoint me. So I'm reading everything. I'm like, this is good. No more pain, no more getting sick, no more wars, no more people tricking and lying. I'm like, this is really fun. And then how long is it? Eternity. It doesn't end. I mean, forever and ever. Okay, again, I'm going to trust God. Okay, I want to go there. How do you get there then? I remember going back to the Bible. I'm like, look at my commandments. Love one another. It is really the whole sum of it. Love God above and love one another as you love yourself. I mean, I think I can do that until I started to read between the lines of all the commandments. I felt like every page I opened in the Bible was speaking to me about forgiveness, and I didn't like it. Every page I would open like, pray for those who hate you. I'm like, no, close that page. Anything else, but not that one. And I will open another one. Forgive, how many times? 70 times. I can't even forgive once. I started to get scared that I might not make it to the nice place. So I closed the Bible because I didn't want to think about forgiveness. I had so much anger towards the people who were killing us. I had so much anger. I thought about things that sometimes I felt like I was like, Rambo, just killing people and flying planes and throwing grenades all over the country and blowing people up. And I'm like, okay, good, I did it. And the worst thing about anger, it becomes obsessive. It becomes like a sickness. You think you are done with hating them. No, you start again from the beginning. I'm like, I'm tired. Now I can take a break. But no, I'm not done because the anger continues to go on. Have you seen that sometimes we even think about people we hate more than we think about people we love? And that is so unfair. So it was completely everything that was in my mind. I'm like, what do I do with this? However, because I knew about God, now I put the Bible on the side. Now I truly have said, I believe in you, God. I wanted to know what to do. I can't forgive, but what else can I do? I remember the words I read. Pray unceasingly. I remember I took the rosary. My father gave me the rosary when I was separating with him. And I took it and I started to pray. So one rosary, for those who don't know about this, is really just like a bead represent what a prayer to say. One rosary takes about 20 minutes, 25 minutes. I'm not kidding. I say the first rosary, I felt like I moved from hell to a place of air. Because now my mind was on something else. I was thinking about Jesus and his life. It was actually a story. He was born, like the joyful, you think about the joy he had. He was born in Bethlehem. What happened? What Mary had? What did she feel? Joseph, why was he standing? So my mind completely went with them. And then I thought about their sorrow, the pain they went through, the glory, defeating death, resurrection. I'm like, this is good. But it took me away from my pain. Because now I was thinking of their life, meditating on their life. Then I thought, let me say this prayer all day. Again, for those who know about this, one takes 25 minutes. I say 27 rosaries every single day from that time on. Because it was the only time I was able to have peace. Because my mind will be with them. Then after time, I remember one part started to bug me, a part of the rosary. Our Lord's Prayer. Many Christians share this prayer. Anytime I reached to this part that said, forgive us our trespasses as we forgive, I'm like, that again? No, I can't forgive them. No, I can forgive them. No, I don't want to lie to God who listens to my heart. So I better be sincere from inside. So I had a better idea. I started to skip that part of the prayer. Because I didn't want to lie to the God who can hear from inside. I mean, if we lie to our friends, what happened? We risk to lose them. And I don't want to lose my friend, the only one who was there. My parents, who really were good parents. My mom was that kind of person who still tuck you in bed when you are 20. So now she doesn't know where you are. In some ways, I was mad at her. Like, you should have told me that you're not almighty. Like, you can't do this. My father, I knew he can kill if somebody hurt me, if he had the power. But now you realize that, oh my, he doesn't have all the power. There was God, and I think just God now. What was inside you, the prayers that I taught you, the lessons of life they have taught me, it is all I was left with. Now I'm talking to God. So I skipped that part. I kept praying like that, thinking I'm good with God now because I can't forgive. Until one day, I remember I was about to skip that part. You know what they say, truly prayer from the heart can change you. Even your own character. I love what I hear in this, and I mean, what I have heard so many times from Tony in his teachings, but even just today, to be open, to change, to transform, is so important. But prayer is really what did it for me in that time. I can't talk. I can't talk to anyone, even to the women who were together. But I just wanted to be sincere. Because we have to be honest with ourselves too. Do I even believe this? I just question yourself. So as I'm going through that, I'm going, without mentioning these words, I felt actually that God was okay with me. Now because I'm talking to him the truth. I can't lie to you that I forgive when I don't. So I kept praying like that until one day I was about to skip that part. And I felt as if somebody was touching me like, hey, I hope you know our Lord's prayer is not man-made. It's Jesus himself who gave those words. The one you believe is God. The one you believe cannot make a mistake. If I were you, I will not change his prayer. I'm like, oh, what am I going to do now? Because remember, this is not halfway. I truly believed in him. And I was waiting. Let me see. I'm going to do my part, and let me see what you do. Are you going to keep your part too? Truly, ask it shall be given? You mean that? You mean that if you really ask a mountain to move, that can be possible, but we have to do our part. Every relationship is two ways, So with that, I just wanted to do my part. Let me see what he does. And all of a sudden, I realized that I am changing his prayer. For the first time in my life, I understood the meaning of surrendering. I don't remember if I had any place to kneel, but I felt as if I went on my knees and I put my hands up and I begged God, if you know how to forgive, help me out. You are God, I am not. I make many mistakes, but you never make a mistake. At least from the God I'm reading from this Bible. So I'm going to give this to you. You said, ask it shall be given. I am going to give it to you. Change my heart. And all of a sudden I realized that I've been fighting so hard. All I needed was a little humility just to give it to him. I don't have to figure out everything by myself. Just to be able to give it to him, help me. Just to ask that. It took so much. So now I knew it was in God's hands, and I put back the prayer as he said it. Every time I went through that, I would say, I still haven't forgiven. I don't know how you forgive somebody who is trying to kill your mom or your dad, everybody who looks like you. So please, God, you are God. If you say so, it must be like that. I kept praying now, putting back the whole prayer. Again, I haven't forgiven yet until one day. I was meditating on a part of the rosary, the fifth sorrowful mystery, when Jesus is dying on the cross. And I just wanted to know what that means. You died on the cross? Why? I mean, you are God. Why would you not just save us in one word? Why would you come to live with us 33 years? Why would you choose the painful way? Why didn't you just the easy way? Come like the Pope, dress nice, and just be. And I felt as if this was no joke. It was truly with all my heart. I felt like God was speaking back to me. And I truly believe he speaks to all of us. When we sincerely ask questions, he really answers us, if we are sincere. So I felt like he was telling me, well, I went through this because I love you. I did not want to teach you what life might offer by words, by action. I went through this so that if you ever go through to anything close to what I have gone through, remember I was there before you. Learn from me. In that moment, I'm like, you're right. You were God. You went through pain. And me, I'm thinking this is the worst thing can ever happen. But who am I if God can go through this? And again, he's showing me this is possible. And it's true. There is suffering in life. It's how we take it. And then I remember what took me by surprise. When he said, I'm reading in the Bible, trying to understand what happened, why, when he said, forgive them, Father. They don't know what they do. I knew these words before. I knew, of course, I prayed the rosary before. I read the Bible about this. But that time, it just shocked me, touched me in a place where my eyes were open. It was like a thunder in my heart. They don't get it. That was the answer I've been looking for. How do you forgive? They don't get it. And you try to put your energy in hating them doesn't change anything. Pray for them. Don't hate. They have succeeded to take you to their side. All of a sudden, it felt as if the world was divided. It was like really clear. Like the world was divided in two parts, a part of love and a part of hate. And a part of hate, there were people like Hitler, those who were causing the genocide, those who were killing. But on the side of love, there were people like Mother Teresa. People in the history of love, like Gandhi, people like Mandela. A man goes in prison for 27 years, and he comes out speaking about love. Let's forgive. Let's reconcile. So these are the people. And when I felt like my Lord, when Jesus was showing me this two-part we all belong to, either we are on the side of hate, either we are on the side of love, he showed me those who were on the side of love. I realized that people on the side of love are the people who have known suffering, who have known pain, rejected, betrayal, all kind of pain. But the difference between them and those who are on the side of hate is they don't let hatred rule them. They stand up for what they believe to be right. They stand up for love. They stand up for justice, for peace, no matter what happened to them. And when I found these people, it was like, okay, I'm not alone then. Let me go to their side. These are the people I admire. These are the people who are doing good. So when I felt like I moved to their side of love, it was like a huge luggage was lifted from my shoulders. I truly felt free. And that was left with a huge obsession of anger that was continuously going through my mind. Even when I was not praying this time, I wasn't thinking about the killers. I started to feel like, okay, now that I have forgiven, what am I going to do when I come out? And what I realized when I was able to let go that anger, it didn't feel what I thought it was going to be. Because before I was like, so if I forgive them, that's it? They hurt me and I give them a gift? It was as if I felt I'm giving them something. But this time, like, no, it's you, where you are in your heart. Be on the side of love. And actually, I felt much more clearer about who was wrong, who was bad, who was not, how to protect myself. If you read my book, Left to Tell, actually I started to learn English when I was in the bathroom. Everything changed. But my mind was clear. Now, after the anger was gone, it felt like a veil was unveiled. I can see now in the future because there's no bitterness now. Now I can truly say that God can hear me because there was no anger. Our anger blocked us from God's blessings. We ended up staying in that bathroom 3 months. Since April until July. I wish I knew how long it was going to be. I didn't know for even 1 hour that I was going to live that 1 hour. But we spent 3 months. And the way we did, we came out, the war was over. The people from my tribe and the people from the Hutu tribe who were against the genocide, they joined an army from Uganda and they fought day by day to capture the country, to really free the country. And that's how we were able to come out when they captured the capital. The very first night I came out, I was truly hoping that maybe somebody in my family was still hiding as I was. But the very first night I was in a refugee camp, and I found somebody to ask what happened, if he knows anything that have happened to my family. And he gave me one by one, everyone I left behind. They were killed. My mom was killed, my dad, My two brothers, my grandma, my grandpa, 1,000,000 people was killed in a period of 3 months. Everywhere was dead bodies. Our homes were destroyed. Every memory, those things you kept, everything was completely destroyed. And I remember throwing the rosary my father had given me on the side, have said, I didn't even like anymore the prayers, because the prayers had a way of they put a shelter around me that was almost too good to be true. I'm like, let's forget about prayers now, let me just be real. I cried and screamed for 5 minutes. And after those 5 minutes, I felt as if there was a giant hands of God around me. And something was telling me, hey, the journey of your loved ones is over here on earth, but not in heaven. But your journey is not over yet. And you don't know how long it's going to be. It might be 1 more hour, 1 more year, 10, 20, 50, 60, 80. But whatever that is, only God knows. What is in your power is how you choose how to spend your day by day, by your moment by moment, just now. And the truth is, all of us, nobody really have any guarantee to live 1 more hour. We hear tragedies all around the world. We try to forget it, and that's good. We don't have to live by remembering every tragedy, but truly no one has a guarantee. But if we knew we don't have that guarantee, what would we do? Love one another. Ask for forgiveness today. No, don't wait for tomorrow if you have a chance to do it today. Apologize to those you need to apologize to. I felt God was telling me, so your life is your gift, and you don't know how long it is. Can it be 1 hour? Is your gift is up to you. You can choose to love or to hate, to uplift or pull down, be kind or be mean. But if you choose kind, if you choose love, I am with you. Ask me for anything you want, I will give it to you. Moment by moment. And you don't have to ask for too much, because if you are still alive tomorrow, I will be there too. So you can ask me for what you want that time. I literally took a paper and I started to write down things I wanted to ask God, and because he was my father now, and I took that seriously, and I would ask him, okay, God, not for tomorrow, just today. I want clothes to change. And I want a friend, somebody I can just share what is going on with, a girlfriend, somebody to laugh with. And I want a bed, and I want bed sheets, and I want a blanket. I didn't want to take anything for granted anymore. You know, sometimes we think if we ask for a house, it will come with equipment and chairs and everything. And no. God, I need also a blanket and a pillow. And I will need actually a sweater. No, 2. I need 2. So I will write to him everything. And I can't believe the next chapter of my life was continuously, even to this day, to watch God doing what he does best, to give you the joy to see your dream come true. But when you have them and when you present them, I remember one of the simple things that happened in the beginning. So I had this list. I just wanted clothes to change. That time, if you gave me a house, I would not even know how to deal with a house. So I just wanted what I needed that time. And again, even today. So I needed some clothes to change because I had one clothes for the past 4 months. So I received an envelope a few weeks after that. This is how it happened. The envelope was sent by a friend of mine. We went to high school together. She had gone to school in Belgium. And she took a big envelope, khaki, I still remember that, put a jeans, a T-shirt, and a dress. And she put a note. And she said, I have heard many people who died in our school, but no one have confirmed to me that you are dead yet. In case you are still alive, you must need some clothes to change. She put this in an envelope, went to the airport without an address, just give it to a soldier, anybody going to Rwanda. So the soldier is like, there's no address. And she said, well, everybody knows each other in Rwanda, just go give it to anyone around her age group, they will find her. And the soldier said, okay, fine. This soldier ended up in my refugee camp. And he's like, okay, find this lady. I'm like, it's me. How is this possible? So I found the envelope and I found the clothes and I went to the list I gave God. I'm like, okay, thank you for sending the clothes. Literally, I just lived day by day just like that. And to tell you the truth, I still feel like it's the same today. Like I said, just to meet you, to see you. You know, you're like, okay, God, I really love what they share. I really love their hearts. I just love the boldness and the truth in you and how you share. I just love that. I wish I meet them. And God is like, just wait, a little patience. How I wrote my book, Left to Tell, meeting Wendaya, it was literally in letters, because I still like that to this day. Writing like, dear God, how do I publish my book? I never knew Wendaya before, but I met him and I don't know how to publish a book. So I'm going to pray and I will see what you will do with it. I literally met Wendaya, who literally published my book 3 days after I finished writing the book. I thought it was going to be 3 years later. And then I met him, and in ways that you never thought also was possible. I was online, actually. I was in a conference, and I saw him. I didn't know who he was, never met him before. And he was online, and there's a long line going to this man. I'm like, what is he telling people? Why is everyone smiling, coming to see him? And some of them crying. This is now like some years after I have left Rwanda. I lived in the United States. And I was working with United Nations until my first book came out in 2006. So I went online. I just finished my book on March 31st. And I'm writing to God every day, praying, loving, and just doing the best I can and, loving everybody, helping other people. Because that is the way to God's heart. It's truly loving other people. When you do, you know that He's going to come back to you. So I'm like, okay, God, I don't even want anyone to thank me. Just let me do this. But I want you to thank me. I want you to do something. 3 days after I went to the line and I met this man who was end of the line, went there, I didn't know what they were going to do there. So when I reached about 10 people, I just wanted to know, what is he telling people? When I reached about 10 people, I realized that he was autographing his book for them. So I don't know what he writes about, who he is, what am I going to do? I wanted to run away, but something's like, just buy a book, pretend to look like you know what you're doing. Okay, fine, let me just be like everybody. I go to him, and he got to sign my book. I want to run after he signed it, and he called me back. He pulled me, actually. He's like, how are you? I say, I'm fine. And then he said, where did that accent come from? I'm like, I don't have an accent. But anyway, I told him I'm from Rwanda, and I remember his face lit up, and he's like, do you know what happened there? I'm like, yeah, I know, but everything is good now, and truly the country is amazing now. And then he goes, he wanted to know what happened, who am I? And I told him, everything is good now. And he's like, where is your parents? So I couldn't not tell him, but I said like in a minute, I'm like, well, they're in heaven. What about your siblings? Oh, they're all good, but they're in heaven. He's like, what? So where were you? Were you there or here? I told him a little bit. I was in the bathroom and I was survived. And he looked at me, he said, what makes you smile after what happened to you? I'm like, well, life doesn't end here. There is heaven. I just hope I do my part, And he looked at me again and said, have you thought about writing a book? I literally finished 3 days before. I'm like, I can't tell him, like, yeah, 3 days ago I finished. So I told him, like, I thought about that. And he said, I promise. I never heard those words. I truly never met anyone who wrote a book before. I was new in the country. He's like, I promise you, if you find a way you can tell people how you can be yourself after what happened to you, I'm sure there is a secret. I will publish your book. I'm like, who are you? How do you know how I publish books? So I had to go home and go to the Google and find out his name. Who is this man who is telling me he's going to show me? To find out he have published maybe 40 books, who became such like a father to me, truly. But I left Rwanda in 1998. Before I left, I went to meet a man who killed my family. I had peace all this time. The time I was able to let go, I still cry to this day. I miss my parents, and that will never change. I think about my dad, my mom, my brothers. But when I met the man who killed my family, I wasn't sure what I was going to feel. And the people thought, oh, you're crazy to forgive. It must be just a mechanism of surviving. You're going to go crazy after one time. I'm like, am I going to go back to that place without peace again? And I went to him. When I saw him, he used to be like a man like many of you here, who used to have a beautiful family, dressed nice, had a good job. But when I saw him in a prison, I still remember his feet were swelling, his clothes were teared up, and he hadn't shaved in 6 months. He just was dirty. He was desperate. And I feel like that voice in my heart again. Do you remember what I told you? They don't get it. And it is not about them alone. It is like all of us. When we hurt, when other people, when we act without love, we don't know what we do. I'm a Catholic. I go to confession. Every 2 weeks I go to confession. I always find a way I could have loved better. I could have been nicer. I couldn't have been kinder. I should have said that better because we're people. But the most important thing is that we are able to change. And God forgives. So that man, I offered him forgiveness. I cried. He was standing there. I cried for his family. I cried for his children. I cried for him for taking such decision that we make him go to that place, that his family will lose him too. And I realized that if he cannot love himself, how can he love me? I want to end here, but before I end, I want to say, anytime I speak to a group, I feel like I'm talking to a big group, but truly I'm speaking to individuals. And I just want to say, from my heart to yours, whatever you may be going through, because we all have our own life experience. We shared of the fear we don't know what tomorrow will bring. But whatever you may be facing, please remember, there is always hope. Hold on to God, hold on to good, use your strength, do the best you can to do, and just enjoy it. And lastly, if I can forgive, anyone can forgive. Thank you so much.